what you're doing right now, and listen to me, because I'm about to tell you something that might save your life, or at the very least, give you back 10 to 20 years of vitality that you thought were gone forever. Right now, at this very moment, you're probably doing at least one thing that's aging you faster than smoking a pack of cigarettes. And the tragic irony is that you think you're being healthy. You think you're doing the right thing. You might even be proud of the habit I'm about to expose. But I've spent more than 40 years studying the mechanisms of aging and disease reversal. I've conducted groundbreaking research that's been published in the most prestigious medical journals in the world. And I've worked with thousands of patients who were able to literally turn back their biological clocks. And what I've discovered is that there are 4 specific daily habits, things that millions of people over 50 do every single day without question, that are accelerating their aging at the cellular level, shortening their telomeres, increasing inflammation, damaging their arteries, degrading their brain function, and stealing years from their lives. Now, before you think I'm going to tell you to stop eating sugar or to exercise more, let me be clear. These 4 habits are far more insidious because they're disguised as healthy behaviors. They're things that health magazines recommend, things your doctor might even encourage, things that seem so obviously beneficial that questioning them feels almost heretical. But the science, the rigorous, peer-reviewed science that I've dedicated my career to, tells a very different story. And if you're over 50 and you want to live longer, feel better, look younger, and maintain your independence and vitality into your 80s, 90s, and beyond, then you need to know what these habits are and why they're so damaging. Because once you understand the mechanisms, once you see what's happening inside your body at the cellular level, you'll never look at these habits the same way again. I'm Dr. Dean Ornish, and I've spent my entire professional life challenging conventional medical wisdom. I was told that heart disease was irreversible, that once your arteries were clogged, the only solutions were drugs and surgery. But I proved through rigorous clinical trials that comprehensive lifestyle changes could actually reverse heart disease without medication or procedures. I was told that aging was inevitable, written in your genes beyond your control. But my research on telomeres and gene expression has shown that your lifestyle choices can literally change which genes are turned on or off, and can even lengthen the protective caps on your chromosomes that determine your biological age. I've worked with presidents, I've testified before Congress, and I've published studies that have fundamentally changed how we understand the relationship between lifestyle and disease. So when I tell you that these 4 habits are aging you faster, I'm not sharing speculation or theory. I'm sharing conclusions drawn from decades of research, from studying thousands of patients, from measuring biological markers of aging before and after lifestyle interventions, and from seeing with my own eyes the transformation that's possible when people stop doing the things that harm them and start doing the things that heal them. Let me paint you a picture of what aging actually is at the molecular level, because you need to understand this to grasp why these 4 habits are so destructive. Aging isn't just about the passage of time. It's about what's happening inside your cells. Every cell in your body contains chromosomes, and at the end of each chromosome is a protective cap called a telomere. Think of telomeres like the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. They protect your DNA from fraying and damage. Every time your cells divide, which they do constantly throughout your life, your telomeres get a little bit shorter. When they get too short, your cells can no longer divide properly. They become senescent, meaning they're still alive, but no longer functioning well. This is cellular aging, and it's the foundation of everything we see as aging in the mirror and feel in our bodies. Shorter telomeres are associated with every marker of aging you can think of. Wrinkles and sagging skin, gray hair and hair loss, reduced energy and stamina, weakened immune function, cognitive decline and memory problems, increased risk of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and dementia. Shorter telomeres literally predict how long you'll live and how healthy those years will be. But here's the crucial point, the point that changes everything. The rate at which your telomeres shorten is not fixed. It's not predetermined by your genes. It's profoundly influenced by how you live. Some lifestyle factors accelerate telomere shortening, making you age faster. Other factors slow telomere shortening or even activate an enzyme called telomerase that can rebuild and lengthen telomeres, making you biologically younger. In our research, we've shown that comprehensive lifestyle changes can increase telomerase activity by nearly 30% in just 3 months. And when we followed people for 5 years who maintained these changes, their telomeres were actually longer at the end of 5 years than when they started. They had reversed their biological aging. Their cells were younger. And when your cells are younger, everything else follows. You look younger, you feel younger, your organs function better, your brain stays sharper, your immune system stays stronger. You are, in every measurable way, younger than your chronological age. But the opposite is also true. When you engage in habits that accelerate telomere shortening, you age faster than you should. You might be 55 chronologically, but 70 biologically. Your body is breaking down faster than it needs to, and the tragedy is that this accelerated aging is often preventable. It's often the direct result of daily habits that you could change if you only knew what they were and understood why they matter. So let's talk about the first habit that's making you age faster after 50. And I want you to really pay attention to this one because it's something that probably 90% of people over 50 do regularly, thinking it's essential for their health. The first habit is eating animal protein at every meal because you've been told that you need extra protein as you age to maintain muscle mass and strength. You've heard that older adults are at risk for sarcopenia, the loss of muscle that leads to frailty and falls and loss of independence. You've been told that protein is the solution and that animal proteins are superior because they're complete proteins with all the essential amino acids. So you eat eggs for breakfast, chicken or turkey for lunch, fish or lean meat for dinner, maybe some Greek yogurt as a snack. You're proud of yourself for avoiding processed carbs and focusing on protein, but here's what you don't know, what the research clearly shows, but hasn't filtered through to mainstream dietary advice yet. Animal protein, even the lean, supposedly healthy kinds, accelerates aging through multiple mechanisms. First, animal protein stimulates a growth pathway in your body called mTOR, which stands for mechanistic target of rapamycin. When mTOR is chronically activated, it tells your cells to grow and divide rapidly. In youth, this is beneficial for building muscle and tissue. But as you age, chronic mTOR activation is associated with accelerated aging, increased cancer risk, and shorter lifespan. Studies in animals have consistently shown that reducing mTOR activity extends lifespan. Rapamycin, the drug that inhibits mTOR, is one of the most reliable life extension compounds we know of, and what activates mTOR most powerfully. Animal protein, particularly the amino acids leucine, isoleucine, and valine, which are abundant in meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy. Second, animal protein produces inflammatory compounds and oxidative stress. When you digest animal protein, particularly when it's cooked at high temperatures, it produces advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which is an appropriate acronym because these compounds literally age you. They bind the proteins in your body, making them stiff and dysfunctional. They accumulate in your skin, causing wrinkles and loss of elasticity. They accumulate in your arteries, promoting plaque formation. They accumulate in your brain, contributing to cognitive decline. They accumulate in your joints, worsening arthritis. And they generate free radicals that damage your DNA and shorten your telomeres. Third, and this is crucial, animal protein dramatically changes your gut microbiome in ways that promote aging. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria that play a vital role in your health. When you eat animal protein, particularly red meat, but also poultry and fish, your gut bacteria metabolize compounds like choline and carnitine and convert them into a substance called trimethylamine, or TMA. Your liver then converts TMA into TMAO, which stands for trimethylamine N-oxide, and TMAO is profoundly damaging. It promotes atherosclerosis by increasing cholesterol deposition in arterial walls. It makes blood more likely to clot. It increases inflammation throughout your body. And study after study has shown that people with higher TMAO levels have dramatically higher rates of heart attack, stroke, and death. One study found that people in the highest quartile of TMAO levels had more than 4 times the risk of dying over a 5-year period compared to those in the lowest quartile. Now, here's what's remarkable. Plant proteins don't produce TMAO. They don't have the precursors that get converted into this toxic compound. Plant proteins also don't activate mTOR as intensely as animal protein. And plant proteins come packaged with fiber, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds that protect rather than damage your cells. In our studies, when people switched from a diet centered on animal protein to a whole food, plant-based diet, their inflammatory markers plummeted. Their oxidative stress decreased. I remember a man, let's call him Richard, who came to see me at 63. He was following what he thought was the perfect diet for healthy aging. High protein, low carb, focused on lean meats and fish. He ate chicken breast for lunch every day, salmon for dinner several times a week, eggs for breakfast, Hardly any processed food, no sugar. Lots of vegetables alongside his protein. By conventional standards, he was doing everything right. But he felt terrible. He was exhausted all the time. His joints ached. He had brain fog. His skin looked gray and aged. His doctor had checked his blood work and said everything was fine, just normal aging. When I looked at his inflammatory markers, they were through the roof. His CRP, a measure of inflammation, was elevated. His homocysteine was high. His TMAO levels, which we measured, were in the highest range we'd seen. I explained to him what I'm explaining to you now, that despite his best intentions, his high animal protein diet was aging him from the inside out. He was skeptical. Everything he'd read said protein was essential, especially as you age. But he was desperate enough to try something different. We transitioned him to a whole food, plant-based diet. He got his protein from beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, quinoa, and nuts. Within 3 weeks, his energy started returning. Within 2 months, his joint pain had significantly decreased. His skin looked healthier. His mental clarity improved. When we rechecked his labs at 3 months, his inflammatory markers had normalized. His TMAO levels had dropped by more than 70%. He looked and felt like a different person. He told me he felt better at 64 than he had at 55. Now, let's move on to the second habit that's aging you faster after 50. And this one is going to surprise many of you because it's something that's been promoted as essential for cardiovascular health for decades. The second habit is taking multiple supplements, particularly antioxidant supplements, fish oil, and multivitamins, believing that you're filling nutritional gaps and protecting yourself against disease. Walk into any health food store and you'll see rows and rows of supplements marketed to older adults. Antioxidants to fight aging, fish oil for heart and brain health, calcium for bones, vitamin D for immunity, for energy, multivitamins for overall health insurance. And millions of people over 50 take handfuls of these pills every day, spending hundreds of dollars a month, convinced they're investing in their health and longevity. But here's what the research actually shows. And this is important because it contradicts what the supplement industry wants you to believe. Large, well-designed clinical trials have consistently found that most supplements don't provide the benefits they promise, and some may actually cause harm. Let's start with antioxidant supplements. The theory was logical. Oxidative stress from free radicals damages cells and accelerates aging. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals. Therefore, taking antioxidant supplements should slow aging and prevent disease. But when researchers actually tested this hypothesis in rigorous trials, they found the opposite. Multiple large studies found that people taking high-dose antioxidant supplements like vitamin E, vitamin A, and beta-carotene actually had higher rates of death and disease than those taking placebo. Why would this be? Because we misunderstood how antioxidants work. Free radicals aren't simply bad. They're part of your body's signaling system. They're produced during exercise and other beneficial stresses, and they trigger your body's own antioxidant defense system. When you flood your system with high doses of isolated antioxidants, you may actually interfere with these natural defense mechanisms. You may reduce the beneficial stress response that makes your cells stronger. It's like overprotective parenting. You think you're helping, but you're actually preventing the development of resilience. Moreover, taking isolated nutrients in high doses is fundamentally different from getting those nutrients from whole foods. In whole foods, nutrients exist in a complex matrix with thousands of other compounds, many of which we haven't even identified yet. They work synergistically in ways we don't fully understand. When you extract one compound and take it in megadoses, you're conducting an experiment on your body with unknown consequences. Fish oil is another example. The omega-3 fatty acids in fish, particularly EPA and DHA, were thought to protect against heart disease based on early observational studies. But when researchers conducted large, randomized controlled trials, the gold standard of medical research, most found no benefit from fish oil supplements for preventing heart attacks or strokes. Some studies even suggested potential harms, including increased risk of atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm that itself increases stroke risk. And there's another problem with fish oil supplements. They're highly prone to oxidation. Fish oil goes rancid easily, and many over-the-counter supplements have been found to be oxidized by the time they reach consumers. When you consume oxidized fats, you're introducing free radicals into your system, the very thing you're trying to avoid. Multivitamins are perhaps the most common supplement taken by nearly half of American adults, but multiple large studies have found that multivitamins don't reduce the risk of heart disease, cancer, cognitive decline, or death. They don't make healthy people healthier. And in some cases, they may cause harm. High doses of certain vitamins can be toxic. For example, too much vitamin A can weaken bones. Too much iron, which many multivitamins contain, can increase oxidative stress, especially in older adults who tend to accumulate iron. Too much folic acid may mask vitamin B12 deficiency and may even increase cancer risk in some studies. Now, I'm not saying all supplements are useless. There are specific situations where supplementation is necessary. If you're following a plant-based diet, you absolutely need to supplement with vitamin B12 because it's not reliably found in plant foods if you don't get adequate sun exposure, particularly if you live in northern climates or have darker skin. You may need vitamin D. Some people may need calcium if they're not getting enough from food, though this is less common than people think. And there are certain medical conditions but the idea that you should take handfuls of supplements as health insurance, that more is better, that you can supplement your way out of a poor diet, is fundamentally flawed and potentially harmful. Here's what's really concerning from an aging perspective. When you rely on supplements instead of whole foods, you're missing out on the thousands of beneficial compounds that exist in plants. Phytochemicals, polyphenols, flavonoids, carotenoids, and countless others that we're only beginning to understand. These compounds have powerful anti-aging effects. They reduce inflammation. They enhance your body's own antioxidant systems rather than replacing them. They modulate gene expression in beneficial ways. They feed your gut microbiome, promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria, and they work synergistically in ways that isolated supplements can't replicate. I had a patient, let's call her Barbara, who was 68 when she came to see me. She had a bathroom cabinet that looked like a pharmacy. Fish oil, CoQ10, resveratrol, vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, a multivitamin, turmeric, green tea extract, and half a dozen others I'm forgetting. She was spending over $300 a month on supplements. She thought she was doing everything right. But when I looked at her diet, it was terrible. Processed foods, restaurant meals, very few vegetables, minimal fruits. She told me she didn't have time to cook, that healthy food didn't taste good, and that she was relying on her supplements to make up for her less than perfect diet. I explained to her that it doesn't work that way. You can't take a pill that undoes the damage from eating inflammatory foods 3 times a day. The solution isn't more supplements. The solution is eating foods that actively heal rather than harm. We simplified her supplement regimen to just B12 and vitamin D since her levels were low. We stopped everything else, and we redirected all her energy and money toward eating whole, plant-based foods. Within weeks, she felt better than she had in years. Her energy increased. Her chronic inflammation decreased. Her digestion improved. Her skin looked better. And she was saving money that she'd been wasting on unnecessary supplements. Now let's talk about the third habit that's aging you faster after 50. And this is one that's particularly common among people who are committed to fitness and health. The third habit is doing intense, prolonged exercise or chronic cardio because you believe that more exercise is always better, that you need to push hard to stay fit, that sweating buckets and reaching your maximum heart rate is the goal. You're out there running marathons, doing high-intensity interval training, spending hours on the treadmill or elliptical, pushing yourself into the red zone day after day because you've been told that vigorous exercise is a fountain of youth. But here's what the research shows. There's a sweet spot with exercise, a zone where you get maximum health benefits with minimum stress on your body. And when you exceed that zone, when you exercise too intensely or too long, especially as you age, you can actually accelerate aging rather than slow it. Let me explain the mechanisms. When you exercise intensely, your body requires enormous amounts of oxygen to fuel your muscles. This increased oxygen consumption leads to increased production of reactive oxygen species, commonly called free radicals. Now, moderate exercise actually enhances your body's antioxidant defense systems, making you more resilient. But extreme exercise, especially when done chronically without adequate recovery, can overwhelm those defense systems. You end up with excess free radicals that damage your DNA, oxidize cholesterol particles, making them more likely to cause arterial plaque, damage mitochondria, reducing your energy production, and accelerate telomere shortening. There's growing research showing that extreme endurance athletes, people who regularly run ultramarathons or do Ironman triathlons or engage in other forms of extreme endurance exercise, have higher rates of certain health problems. They have more atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm. They have higher coronary artery calcium scores, indicating more arterial calcification. Some studies have found more arterial plaque in extreme exercisers compared to moderate exercisers. They have suppressed immune function, making them more susceptible to infections. And they often have elevated cortisol levels from the chronic stress of overtraining. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying exercise is bad. Exercise is absolutely essential for healthy aging. It's one of the most powerful anti-aging interventions we have. But there's a critical difference between health-promoting exercise and exercise that creates excessive stress. The sweet spot appears to be moderate intensity exercise for about 30 to 60 minutes most days of the week. Walking, swimming, cycling, dancing, yoga, Tai Chi, recreational sports. Activities where you raise your heart rate into a comfortable zone where you can still hold a conversation, where you feel energized afterward rather than exhausted, where you're consistent because it's sustainable and enjoyable. In our program, we recommend moderate exercise, and that level of activity, combined with the dietary and stress management components, was sufficient to reverse heart disease. We didn't need people to become marathon runners. We didn't need them to do burpees until they collapsed. We needed them to move their bodies regularly in a way that enhanced rather than stressed their system. And what we found was that people who exercised moderately had better outcomes than those who exercised intensely. There's also the issue of cortisol, your primary stress hormone. That intense exercise is a stressor. It triggers cortisol release, which is normal and appropriate in the short term. But when you're doing intense exercise day after day without adequate recovery, cortisol remains chronically elevated. And chronic cortisol elevation is profoundly aging. It breaks down muscle tissue, the very thing you're trying to build. It promotes fat storage, especially around your midsection. It impairs immune function. It disrupts sleep. It damages your hippocampus, the memory center in your brain. It accelerates telomere shortening. It increases inflammation throughout your body. I remember a patient, let's call him Michael, who was 58 and prided himself on his fitness. He was running 50 to 60 miles a week, training for marathons. He did high-intensity interval, training twice a week. He was lean, muscular, looked fit by external standards. But he felt terrible. He was exhausted all the time. He had chronic injuries that wouldn't heal. He was getting sick frequently with colds and infections. His sleep was poor. He was irritable and anxious. And when we measured his biological markers, they told a concerning story. His cortisol was elevated. His testosterone was low. His inflammatory markers were high. His immune function was compromised. He was aging himself with excessive exercise. When I suggested he cut back significantly on his training volume and intensity, he resisted. He was afraid of losing fitness, of gaining weight, of losing the identity he'd built around being a serious athlete. But he was miserable enough to try. We reduced his running to 20 to 30 miles a week at an easier pace. We replaced his high-intensity sessions with yoga and meditation. We focused on recovery and stress management, and something remarkable happened. Within a few months, his chronic injuries healed, his energy returned, his sleep improved, his mood stabilized, his immune function recovered, and interestingly, his running performance didn't suffer. If anything, it improved because he was actually recovered and his body could adapt to training instead of being chronically broken down. Now, let's talk about the fourth habit that's aging you faster after 50, and this might be the most important one of all because it affects everything else. The fourth habit is staying constantly busy, overscheduled, and stimulated, believing that productivity and activity are virtues, that rest is lazy, that you should be doing something useful every moment. You fill your calendar with appointments, obligations, and activities. You multitask constantly. You check your phone dozens of times a day. You watch television while scrolling through social media. You never just sit in silence. You never give your mind a chance to truly rest. And you feel guilty when you're not being productive because you've internalized the message that your worth is tied to your output. This chronic busyness and overstimulation is profoundly aging because it keeps your nervous system locked in a state of activation, in fight or flight mode. When it needs to spend significant time in rest and repair mode, your body has two branches of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is your gas pedal. It activates during stress, danger, or demands. Your heart rate increases. Blood pressure rises. Digestion slows. Your immune system is suppressed. Energy is diverted to your muscles and brain for immediate action. This is appropriate for short-term challenges. But the parasympathetic nervous system is your brake pedal. It activates during rest and relaxation. This is when healing occurs. Your heart rate slows. Blood pressure drops. Digestion resumes. your immune system becomes more active. Your body repairs tissues, consolidates memories, and clears out cellular debris. The problem is that modern life, especially for conscientious people who are trying to do everything right, keeps the sympathetic nervous system chronically activated. You're always on, always responding to demands, always stimulated, always stressed, even if it's low-grade stress that you've gotten so used to that you don't recognize it anymore. And when your sympathetic nervous system is chronically dominant, aging accelerates through multiple pathways. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which we've already discussed as profoundly aging. It increases inflammation throughout your body. It impairs your immune system's ability to fight off infections and cancer cells. It disrupts your sleep, and poor sleep is one of the most powerful accelerators of aging. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which promotes cellular repair. Your brain clears out toxins that accumulate during the day, including proteins like beta amyloid that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. Your immune system strengthens. When sleep is disrupted, all of these restorative processes are impaired. Chronic stress also impairs your digestion and gut health. When you're stressed, blood flow is diverted away from your digestive system. Your gut becomes less effective at digesting food and absorbing nutrients. The balance of bacteria in your gut shifts toward inflammatory species. And we now know that gut health is intimately connected to overall health and aging. An unhealthy gut microbiome promotes system-wide inflammation, impairs immune function, affects mood and cognition, and accelerates aging. Perhaps most importantly, chronic stress and constant stimulation directly shorten your telomeres. Multiple studies have shown that people experiencing chronic stress have shorter telomeres and faster rates of telomere shortening. One study of mothers caring for chronically ill children found that those with the highest stress levels had telomeres that were equivalent to being 10 years older than their chronological age. Another study found that women with the most stressful life events had telomeres equivalent to being about 9 years older. The effect of chronic stress on telomere length is comparable to the effect of smoking. But here's the good news. Just as chronic stress accelerates aging, regular stress management practices slow aging and can even reverse it. In our studies, we found that comprehensive lifestyle changes that included stress management techniques like meditation, yoga, and breathing exercises increased telomerase activity and lengthened telomeres. The people who practiced stress management most consistently showed the greatest benefits. The key is to build regular periods of true rest and restoration into your life. Not watching television, which is still quite stimulating. Not scrolling through social media, which activates your stress response with every outrageous headline or comparison to others' carefully curated lives. But actual rest. Meditation, where you sit in silence and focus on your breath. Time in nature where you're not listening to podcasts or taking phone calls, but simply present with trees and sky and birdsong. Gentle yoga or stretching. Taking a bath. Having an unhurried conversation with someone you love. Lying in bed before sleep without screens. Just breathing and allowing your body to transition into rest. I had a patient, let's call her Susan, who was 61 and burned out. She'd been a high-achieving executive her whole career and had maintained that intensity into retirement. She volunteered on multiple boards. She took classes. She organized family gatherings. She was always busy, always going, always doing. She thought this was healthy, that staying active and engaged was the secret to aging well. But she was exhausted, anxious, and increasingly forgetful. She wasn't sleeping well. She had chronic headaches. Her blood pressure was creeping up despite medication. She looked worn out and older than her years. And I suggested she needed to do less, to build periods of true rest into her days. She looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. She couldn't imagine just sitting and doing nothing. It felt wrong, wasteful, indulgent. But I explained that rest isn't laziness. Rest is when healing happens. Rest is when your body repairs itself. Rest is absolutely essential for healthy aging. I prescribed 15 minutes of meditation every morning and 30 minutes of unstructured downtime every afternoon where she wasn't allowed to do anything productive. Just rest. She struggled with it at first. Her mind raced. She felt guilty. But gradually, she started to feel the benefits. She slept better. Her headaches decreased. Her blood pressure came down. Her memory improved. And perhaps most importantly, she started to enjoy her life more. She was more present, more patient, more able to savor moments instead of constantly rushing to the next thing. She told me that learning to rest was one of the most important lessons of her life. Now, let me show you how all 4 of these habits connect and compound each other, because that's what makes them so destructive. When you eat animal protein at every meal, you create inflammation and oxidative stress. When you're inflamed and oxidatively stressed, You're more likely to rely on supplements to try to fix the problem rather than addressing the root cause. When you're taking supplements instead of eating whole foods, you're missing out on the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds that would actually help. When you're stressed and not sleeping well, you crave more animal protein and simple carbs for quick energy. When you're eating inflammatory foods, you feel sluggish and think you need intense exercise to compensate. When you exercise too intensely without adequate recovery, you increase cortisol and oxidative stress. When your cortisol is elevated, you sleep poorly and feel wired and tired at the same time. And when you're not resting adequately, your body can't repair the damage from all of these other factors. It's a vicious cycle where each harmful habit reinforces the others, and the cumulative effect is accelerated aging at every level. Your telomeres shorten faster. Your cells accumulate damage. Your mitochondria become less efficient. Your hormones become imbalanced. Inflammation becomes chronic. It's chronic. Your immune system weakens. Your brain function declines. And you look and feel older than you should. But here's the beautiful thing. Just as these habits compound to accelerate aging, healthy habits compound to slow and even reverse aging. When you eat whole plant foods, you reduce inflammation and provide your body with thousands of beneficial compounds. When you're eating well, you don't need handfuls of supplements. When you exercise moderately and appropriately, you enhance your body's stress response systems without overwhelming them. When you manage stress and prioritize rest, you sleep better. When you sleep well, you make better food choices and have energy for moderate exercise. When all of these factors align, your body shifts from breakdown to repair. Your telomerase activity increases. Your telomeres may actually lengthen. Your gene expression shifts toward longevity. Inflammation decreases. Your immune system strengthens. Your brain function improves. And you look and feel dramatically younger than your chronological age. So here's what I want you to do starting today. First, shift the foundation of your diet away from animal protein and toward whole plant foods. Make beans, lentils, tofu, and tempeh your protein sources. Get your omega-3 fatty acids from ground flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts instead of fish. Eat a rainbow of vegetables and fruits. Choose whole grain. This one change will reduce inflammation, lower oxidative stress, improve your gut microbiome, and provide your body with the nutrients it needs to repair and regenerate. Second, simplify your supplement regimen dramatically. Unless you have a specific diagnosed deficiency or medical need, you probably only need B12 if you're eating plant-based and perhaps vitamin D if you're not getting adequate sun. Stop wasting money and potentially causing harm with handfuls of unnecessary supplements. Invest that money in high-quality whole foods instead. Third, find your exercise sweet spot. Aim for 30 to 60 minutes of moderate activity most days. Walking is perfect. Swimming, cycling, dancing, yoga, tai chi. Activities that elevate your heart rate into a comfortable zone where you can still hold a conversation, where you feel energized rather than exhausted afterward, and make sure you're getting adequate recovery. If you're tired, rest. If you're injured, heal. Your body will tell you what it needs if you listen. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, prioritize rest and stress management. Start your day with 15 to 20 minutes of meditation or deep breathing before you check your phone or engage with the world's demands. Build periods of true rest into your day. Go to bed early enough to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Say no to commitments that don't truly serve you. Protect your energy and your peace like they're the most valuable things you have, because they are. I want you to understand something profound. You are not a passive victim of aging. Yes, time passes. Yes, there are genetic factors you can't control. But the rate at which you age, the quality of your later years, how you look and feel, your risk of disease, and even how long you live are largely within your control. These 4 habits, these daily choices that you make dozens of times a day, are either accelerating your aging or slowing it. There's no neutral. Every meal is doing something. Every workout is doing something. Every supplement you take is doing something. Every hour you spend stressed versus rested is doing something. And the cumulative effect of all these choices is your biological age. The patients I've worked with who have reversed heart disease, who have lengthened their telomeres, who look and feel 10 or 20 years younger than their chronological age, they're not special. They don't have superior genes. They simply stopped doing the things that were harming them and started doing the things that heal them. They made different choices, and those choices compounded over time into transformation. You can do this too. You can look at these 4 habits honestly and assess which ones you're engaging in. You can decide today that you're going to stop doing things that age you and start doing things that make you younger. You can give your body what it needs to heal and repair. And when you do, when you commit fully to living in a way that supports rather than undermines your biology, you'll be amazed at what's possible. Your body wants to be healthy. It wants to be vibrant. It's designed to heal and repair and regenerate. All you have to do is stop interfering with that process and start supporting it. Stop eating foods that inflame and damage. Stop relying on supplements to fix problems caused by lifestyle. Stop exercising in ways that stress rather than strengthen. Stop living in a state of chronic activation without adequate rest, and start eating foods that heal. Start moving in ways that energize. Start resting in ways that restore. Start living with intention and awareness and self-compassion. The next 10, 20, 30 years of your life are not predetermined. They're not written in stone. They're being written right now with every choice you make. Will you choose habits that age you or habits that make you younger? Will you continue doing things that feel familiar even though they're harming you, or will you have the courage to change? Will you resign yourself to decline, or will you claim the vitality that's possible? I've seen transformation in thousands of patients. I've seen people reverse diseases that were supposedly irreversible. I've seen biological age decrease even as chronological age increases. I've seen people in their 70s look and feel better than they did in their 50s. I've seen marriages improve, careers flourish, passions reignite, and lives completely transform because people stopped doing the things that were aging them and started doing the things that been. The hardest part isn't the actual changes. The hardest part is letting go of the beliefs that keep you stuck. Letting go of the belief that you need animal protein at every meal to be strong. Letting go of the belief that supplements can compensate for a poor lifestyle. Letting go of the belief that you need to push yourself to exhaustion to be fit. Letting go of the belief that rest is weakness and that your worth is measured by your productivity. These beliefs are deeply ingrained. They're reinforced by culture, by advertising, by well-meaning but misinformed friends and family. But they're not serving you. They're aging you, and you have the power to choose differently. Let me give you a framework for thinking about this that might help. Every choice you make is either a deposit into your health account or a withdrawal from it. When you eat a meal of whole plant foods, you're making a deposit. When you take a walk in nature, you're making a deposit. When you meditate for 15 minutes, you're making a deposit. When you get a good night's sleep, you're making a deposit. These deposits compound over time, building interest, creating a reserve of health and vitality that you can draw on. But when you eat inflammatory foods, you're making a withdrawal. When you take unnecessary supplements instead of eating real food, you're making a withdrawal. When you over-exercise or under-rest, you're making a withdrawal. When you stay chronically stressed and busy, you're making a withdrawal. And if you're making more withdrawals than deposits, your health account goes into deficit. That's when disease develops. That's when aging accelerates. That's when you feel tired, look older, and struggle with health problems. The beautiful thing is that you can start making deposits right now, this very moment. You don't have to wait until Monday or the first of the month or after the holidays. Every single choice is an opportunity. The next meal you eat, the next hour you spend, the next decision you make about how to use your energy and attention. Each one is a chance to make a deposit instead of a withdrawal. And I want you to understand that perfection is not required. You don't have to get it right every single time. You don't have to never eat animal protein again. You don't have to meditate for an hour every day. You don't have to be a saint. You just have to make more deposits than withdrawals. You have to tip the balance in favor of health more often than not. Board of a key. And when you do slip up, when you make choices that don't serve you, you don't beat yourself up. You don't spiral into shame and give up. You simply notice, learn from it, and make the next choice a better one. This is about progress, not perfection. It's about consistency, not intensity. It's about sustainable changes that you can maintain for the rest of your life, not dramatic overhauls that you can only stick with for a few weeks before burning out. Small, consistent actions compounded over time create transformation. That's the secret. Not some magic pill or radical intervention, but simple, sustainable habits practiced day after day, year after year. Let me tell you about one more patient because I think her story illustrates this principle perfectly. Let's call her Dorothy. She came to see me when she was 73 years old. She'd had a heart attack, had diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, and was on 11 different medications. She was overweight, exhausted, depressed, and convinced that her best years were behind her. She came to our program mostly because her daughter insisted, not because she believed anything would change. When I explained the lifestyle changes we recommend, she was overwhelmed. Change her entire diet, start meditating, exercise when she could barely walk around the block without pain, It all seemed impossible, so I told her what I'm telling you now. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to be perfect. Just start. Make one change today, then another tomorrow. Build momentum gradually. Dorothy started with just one thing. She committed to eating one fully plant-based meal a day. Just one. Breakfast was her easiest meal to change, so she switched from eggs and bacon to oatmeal with berries and walnuts. That was it. That was her only change for the first week. The second week, she added a 5-minute breathing practice in the morning. Just 5 minutes of sitting quietly and focusing on her breath. The third week, she changed lunch to plants as well. Week by week, meal by meal, habit by habit, she built a new way of living. Within 3 months, she'd transitioned to a fully plant-based diet. She was meditating for 15 minutes every morning. She was walking 20 minutes a day. She'd lost 18 pounds without trying to lose weight, without counting calories, without feeling deprived. Her blood sugar had normalized to the point where she was able to stop her diabetes medication. Her blood pressure had improved enough to reduce her medication. Her joint pain had decreased significantly. Her energy had returned. But more than any of these physical changes, something had shifted in her spirit. She felt hopeful again. She felt like she had a future worth looking forward to. When I saw Dorothy a year after she'd started the program, I almost didn't recognize her.
She'd lost 45 pounds.
She was off 7 of her 11 medications. Her blood work looked better than it had in 20 years. Her doctor was astonished. But what struck me most was her face. She was smiling, laughing, her eyes bright and alive. She looked 10 years younger than when I'd first met her. She told me that she felt better at 74 than she'd felt at 60, that she was doing things she hadn't been able to do in years, traveling, gardening, playing with her grandchildren, living fully instead of just existing. Dorothy's transformation didn't happen because she was exceptional or because she had extraordinary willpower. It happened because she started, because she made one small change, then another, because she was consistent. Because she gave her body what it needed to heal. And because she didn't give up when it got hard or when she had setbacks. That's what I'm asking you to do. Start today, right now. Look at these 4 habits honestly. Which ones are you engaging in? The animal protein at every meal? The handfuls of supplements? The excessive or imbalanced exercise in the chronic busyness and lack of rest? Probably at least 1 or 2, maybe all 4. And now that you know what they're doing to you, now that you understand the mechanisms by which they're accelerating your aging, you can't unknow it. You can't go back to unconsciously doing things that harm you. So make a choice. Choose one habit to address first. Maybe it's the easiest one for you to change. Maybe it's the one that's causing you the most problems. It doesn't matter which one you start with. What matters is that you start. Make one change today. Maybe you have a plant-based dinner tonight instead of chicken or fish. Maybe you clear out your supplement cabinet and commit to getting your nutrients from food. Maybe you replace your intense workout with a gentle walk. Maybe you meditate for 10 minutes before bed. One thing. Then tomorrow do it again. And the next day. And the day after that. Build consistency. Build momentum. And when you're ready, add another change. Then another. Layer healthy habits on top of each other until they become your new normal. Until they're just how you live, not something you have to think about or force yourself to do, and get support. Don't try to do this alone. Tell people what you're doing and why. Find others who are making similar changes. Join a group, whether it's one of our programs or a local community or an online forum. Share your struggles and your victory. Learn from others. Support and be supported. We're not meant to do this alone. We're social creatures, and having community makes everything easier and more sustainable. Keep track of how you feel. Notice the changes, even subtle ones. More energy, better sleep, improved mood, clearer thinking, less pain, better digestion, brighter eyes, healthier skin. These benefits often appear within days or weeks, long before you see major changes on the scale or in your blood work. And these early wins are incredibly motivating. They prove to you that this works, that your body responds, that change is possible. Be patient with yourself. Some changes happen quickly. Others take time. You didn't age overnight, and you won't reverse it overnight. But if you're consistent, if you keep making deposits into your health account, you will see and feel transformation. 3 months from now, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come. 6 months from now, people will be asking what you're doing differently. A year from now, you'll be a different person, biologically younger, vibrantly healthy, fully alive. And here's something else that will happen, something profound that many of my patients describe. As you heal your body, you often heal other aspects of your life as well. Relationships improve because you're more patient, more present, more emotionally balanced. Creativity flourishes because you have energy and mental clarity. Purpose and meaning deepen because you're not just surviving, but thriving. Joy returns because you feel good in your body and mind. You discover capacities you thought were lost. You pursue dreams you'd given up on. You become more fully yourself. This is what's possible. This is what I've seen happen thousands of times. This is what the research proves is achievable. Your cells can become younger. Your telomeres can lengthen. Your gene expression can shift. Your inflammation can decrease. Your energy can soar. Your mind can sharpen. Your body can heal. And you can look and feel dramatically younger than your chronological age suggests. But it requires that you stop doing the things that are aging you. It requires that you let go of these 4 destructive habits, these daily patterns that are stealing years from your life. The animal protein at every meal, the reliance on supplements, the excessive or imbalanced exercise, the chronic busyness and lack of rest. These habits are not serving you. They're harming you. And now you know better. So I'm asking you right now to make a commitment, not to me, but to yourself, to your health, to your future, to the life you want to live and the person you want to be. Commit to addressing these 4 habits. Commit to making changes, even small ones at first, that move you in the direction of health rather than disease, of vitality rather than decline, of biological youth rather than accelerated aging. Write it down. Say it out loud. Tell someone who will hold you accountable. Make it real. Make it concrete. And then take the first step. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, your body is waiting. Your cells are ready to respond. Your genes are poised to shift their expression. Your telomeres are capable of lengthening. All the machinery of healing and regeneration is there, built into your biology, waiting for you to provide the conditions that allow it to work. You have more power than you've been told, more control than you've believed, more capacity for transformation than you've imagined. The question is not whether it's possible. The research proves it's possible. The question is whether you'll do it, whether you'll choose health over habit, whether you'll choose vitality over resignation, whether you'll choose to make yourself younger rather than allow yourself to age faster than you need to. I believe you can do this. I believe you have everything you need. I believe that 1 year from now, you can be biologically younger than you are today. I believe that your best years can still be ahead of you. I believe that vibrant health, abundant energy, mental clarity, and physical vitality are your birthright, not privileges reserved for the lucky few. But belief isn't enough. Action is required. Choice is required. Commitment is required. So choose now. Choose health. Choose vitality. Choose to stop aging yourself with these 4 destructive habits. Choose to start healing yourself with simple, sustainable, scientifically proven practices. Your future self is waiting. The person you can become, the health you can have, the life you can live, it's all waiting for you on the other side of these choices. The only question is whether you'll take the first step. I hope you will. I truly hope you will. Because you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to age slowly and gracefully rather than rapidly and painfully. You deserve to look in the mirror and see vitality rather than exhaustion. You deserve to wake up with energy rather than dragging through your days. You deserve to keep your independence, your clarity, your strength well into your later years. All of this is possible. All of this is within your reach. The 4 habits that are aging you faster, you now know what they are. You understand the mechanisms. You can see the path forward. Now it's up to you to walk it. Start today. Start now. Make one change, then another. Build momentum. Be consistent. Be patient. Be kind to yourself and watch as your body responds, as your health improves, as your biological age decreases, even as the calendar years pass. This is not just about living longer, though you probably will. This is about living better, feeling better, being more fully alive, having the health and energy to do the things that matter to you, to be present with the people you love, to pursue your passions and purposes, to contribute your unique gifts to the world. One life, one body, one chance to get this right. Don't waste it on habits that age you. Don't settle for decline when vitality is possible. Don't accept disease as inevitable when health is achievable. Choose differently. Choose wisely. Choose health. Choose life. Choose to be biologically younger tomorrow than you are today. I'm with you. The research is with you. Your body is with you. Everything you need is already within you. Need is already within you and around you. Now go. Start. Transform. Heal and become the vibrant, healthy, youthful version of yourself that you're meant to be. The rest of your life begins right now. Make it extraordinary.